Hi, I'm Sonia Sedler, Interim CEO and COO of Keyword Studios. I'm a mother and stepmother of 4 children, and I'm a champion of female leadership, and I'm going to talk to you today about my story. I've always felt like I'm pushing forward against an invisible force, always needing to be stronger, brighter, or more hardworking than my peers, just to stay on an even footing. Encountering prejudice and challenge along the way, and often being overlooked for recognition or promotion. But despite all these challenges, I was always determined to push past any obstacles that life, culture, or the old boys club could put in my way to create my own success. And now I find myself at the top, albeit temporarily, of one of the most global games companies in one of the most male dominated sectors in the world. I was raised by traditional Indian parents who were keen to integrate our family into the British way of life. So I ran around wearing wellies and attended piano and ballet lessons. I have 2 younger brothers who received most of the focus. So from an early age, I knew I had to fight my corner to get noticed. My father became a successful entrepreneur driven by hard work and self development. He worked at the post office in the mornings, masterminding his own business in the afternoon, attended a college in the evening, and then after that worked at Reading Cinema showing Indian films. He was a fabulous example of how to create opportunities for success. And in contrast, at 17, my mother encountered 2 life-changing events. One was the introduction to my father, her future husband, and the other was her long life love and discovery of English fashion. She moved to England from India, where my father had lived since his early teens, and they quickly settled into married life. I'm sure my father expected me to follow in my mum's footsteps and be married off at the earliest opportunity. But I just knew from an early age, probably from my first moments of self awareness, that I was made for more. I knew that although I wanted to get married and have a family, I also wanted to be truly fulfilled. And for that fulfillment, I needed more. My earliest memories of school were happy ones. I loved to learn. I realised that education was my freedom. I enjoyed studying and excelled in exams, especially in STEM subjects. But although I was always pushed to be the best student by my parents, I had to fight hard for my family to even consider sending me to university. I'm still convinced that the only reason my dad agreed for me to go was because he knew that as an Indian woman with a degree, I would be more valuable as a potential wife. My interest in business was strong. So when it came to selecting a university course, business studies was the obvious choice. And I majored in economics and law. In my final year, when it became obvious that I'd pass, my family began their mission of finding me a husband. The pressure was immense. I had dreams of becoming a barrister, but knew there was no chance of having my parents support me and to take my studies forward. What was the point? I'm sure my parents thought a future husband's only wanting his wife to have a degree, so what possible purpose could extra study have? My time at university was a real period of personal growth for me. I began to realize what I could achieve, what the world had to offer, and what I was interested in pursuing. As my course progressed, I started to think about what the future might hold for me, and I attended the various milk round events and began exploring potential opportunities with different employers. I was really privileged to be selected by Arco Chemicals, and I joined their combined graduate training program with Jesus College, Oxford University. It was such an exciting time, my knowledge expanding as I tiptoed into the world of big business. Arco was an exceptional employer. a truly global organization. They really set the benchmark for my future career. Back in the 90s, they were all about customer centricity, about identifying with the customer's customer to connect their products to the end consumer experience. So, when selling chemicals to car manufacturers, our discussions were about bumpers and what would be important to the driver. This is still critical in how I think now, focusing our attention at keywords on looking at the wider ecosystem to understand the end users or the audience outcomes and how we can improve them. Arco also invested heavily in their people. I travelled to the USA, to Italy, and to France frequently. Almost everyone I encountered at Arco spoke at least one second language. And to support my business trips to Italy, the company provided one-to-one Italian lessons 3 times a week. They recognized early on that investing in your employees was critical to keep them happy and engaged. Definitely ahead of their time. But despite all this positive input, I was still the little brown girl and always seemed to be the one asked to make the tea. In fact, my tea making skills come into demand for about the next 15 years of my career. So after 7 years at Arco and further corporate experience and learning, I moved to Accenture as one of a very small number of female senior executive experienced hires. At Accenture, I learnt that content is critical, methodologies are masters, and that effective teamwork is a vital ingredient for success. We were the best of the best and had access to the most senior leaders in industry. I had a seat at the table. I felt that was what all my learnings had been building up to, and I had a real sense of purpose. But it wasn't without its challenges. Accenture is a very networked organisation with powerful old boys club links extending around the globe. And at times, I felt very aware of my status as a woman of colour. And I think this is where my passion for improving and empowering minority communities was sparked. I was driven to upskill individuals and champion the underdog. Despite Accenture's position as one of the world's leading technology companies, they were also keen to invest in their people. They were all about knowledge, woven together into the desire to give back, often supporting employees who wanted to be involved in community projects or charity work. They truly wanted success for their people. It was also lots of fun. I think this was the first time I realised I could be incredibly focused on hard work and still have fun along the way. After a particularly long night working with my team into the early hours of the morning, we decided to keep our spirits high by playing Name That Tune. It became apparent that I knew almost every single disco track that they'd played, so I immediately became known as the Disco Queen. And in the midst of creating a commercial framework for our clients, I was challenged to do the moonwalk. Not something I plan to repeat anytime soon, and I'm sure my children would disown me. I think another important aspect of my approach to leading keywords was developed during my next role at Sutherland. We achieved immense growth, and I had the opportunity to really bring the customer experience to life. We used design thinking to connect to the end customer and create a 360-degree understanding of our audience. And this is where my career was opened up to the world of music, entertainment, and games. My role was Senior Vice President. I was an influencer, and together we achieved some amazing outcomes. We created co-investment models, monetizing opportunities that challenged the ways of working. I was able to focus on some of the biggest brands in the world and develop a story where the brand became the ecosystem and the customer became the spokesperson. We collaborated with universities and governments to align to community agendas, whilst growing the business and delivering to the customer. A truly ethical approach, creating success in business and positively impacting communities. So, why keywords? Why now? Since my introduction to the media, entertainment, and games industry in 2010, I have been infatuated. The energy and creative talent, the unique way games can unite people from all walks of life, and the endless opportunities to gamify our world and bring positive benefit to the lives of people. From making education accessible to exploring other planets, there really is no limit to what can be achieved through games. Not only is the industry itself unique, but the position keywords occupies within the video game sector is also unique. It has the privilege of being the go-to provider of technical and creative solutions for the world's biggest games publishers and developers. Simply irresistible. And that's before you even mention the outstanding teams and the incredible opportunity for future growth. Throughout my career, I've seen firsthand the exciting, innovative ways games can be used to enhance customer experience, like the gamification techniques employed by banking apps to help customers navigate their sites, or retail fashion houses using virtual reality, try before you buy, games based on mannequins, just amazing, making life easier for people every day. I just love games. They're just a way of life for me. My brothers and I played games when we were growing up, and as I have my children and stepchildren, they've played games, and I'm hoping to be the cool granny that plays video games. So now I'm able to live out my passion by combining my love of games with my love of delivering positive value to customers and shareholders, working with talented and committed teams to create unique and innovative solutions, as well as helping our wider community and raising global consciousness through the work of our ESG program. So all that's left to make this the perfect role is the chance to help improve gender diversity in the industry. And as if by magic, along came Women in Games, and we were able to launch the Ambassador Programme. I really have had an outstanding career, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity I've been given, as well as the amazing support I've received from my family, friends, and colleagues. Success is never a one man or one woman show. I don't deny at times I had my doubts and I wondered if I could keep all the plates spinning as I juggled the multiple versions of myself, the dutiful Indian daughter, the loving wife and mother, and the determined and driven career woman. With all the different demands, I sometimes felt like I was contorting my inner self into a plethora of shapes just to fit into boxes I had created in my world. But to be honest, and I'm sure many of you have found this too, the thing that I probably found most challenging throughout my career has been the way women sometimes treat one another in the workplace. Instead of championing each other, I've seen women tearing down their female colleagues' achievements and competing with one another at every available opportunity. I always thought that it was odd to strive for gender balance if everyone is going to exhibit the same behaviours. I'd always understood the benefits of a balanced team to be derived from our differences. It's the colourful palette of perspectives that paint the most outstanding pictures. I think this is probably the main reason why I'm so passionate about supporting, mentoring, and developing women, especially women of colour, to create balance and diversity in senior leadership. Don't be afraid to be different. No one ever changed the world by fitting in. I feel so privileged to be working with women in games and as an ambassador for my industry because I truly want to be part of the solution, helping to build a better world that I can be proud to live and work in. A better world where my daughters can thrive without having to overcome the obstacles and challenges that I encountered. I'm sure they'll have their own challenges, but it makes me feel so good to know that I'm doing my bit to ease their journey throughout the world of work. So I just want to finish with a quote by Jane Goodall. It means so much to me personally, and I hope you find it as inspiring as I do. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Thank you for listening.